Hello, everyone. We have David Marx, photographer and Lightroom instructor today. Hello, David.
Hi.
So why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Hi. My name's David Marx. It's absolutely an honor to be interviewed today and to be here. I really appreciate it. I live in Northwest Montana, up by Glacier National Park, and I teach photography. I teach in field workshops for a living, and it's really been this tremendous blessing that I really help others improve their skills, both their camera skills and their processing skills. And that frees me up to photograph things that I enjoy.
Great, excellent. So you want to show us what current creative projects you're working on? Slideshow?
Sure. Let me run a little slideshow and hopefully this will work. And I'll sort of show you how I got to where I am. Let's see. At this point, hopefully, you'll be seeing a grid of photos.
Yep.
And I'm crossing my fingers. This is the part where things sometimes go wrong. At this point now, you should see just one big photo.
Yep, skier
awesome.
jumping.
So when I got started in photography, when I was in my mid-20s or so, I love to ski. That's part of what brought me here to Montana. And I thought, well, I can ski around with my friends and shoot photos, and that will actually a motivational poster. Like you find in people's offices, which I find hilarious because, of course, the snowboarder and I were skipping work to go play. But I did some commercials kind of stuff. I did some editorial stuff. I had a lot of fun with it. It was great, but it didn't really pay my bills, and it didn't really pan out as a business. And again, photos like this got used by the Montana Tourism Board, the local ski areas. It was good, but it didn't make a viable income. So I went from shooting weddings and sports to teaching. I ended up in a classroom to processing raw files. And now Lightroom and Photoshop, how they interact. Jan Kabili was on a few weeks ago. And that's become sort of, where the technology is now. My scanner, my scanning days are gone, and my Lightroom to Photoshop workflow routine has really evolved. And by being in the classroom and then out in the field, teaching field workshops, it's really allowed me to pursue sort of my two personal passions in photography, which are wild places and sort of wilderness travel. So landscapes and off the beaten path travel, which is sort of this little sequence of photos here. One of the great blessings has been the chance to escape down to, say, the bottom of the Grand Canyon. And so these are a couple photos from a month-long Grand Canyon trip that I was fortunate enough to go on a few years ago. Actually, I've been on 3 of them over the years, hopefully many more to come. But I love, sort of the action adventure in the boat angle. This is actually a self-portrait. I mounted the camera behind me for this one.
Looks crazy, yeah.
Yeah, well, actually, just a small tangent here. This was shot in the pre-GoPro days. So I actually have a high-end pro Canon camera in a waterproof housing on a custom mount on a tripod lashed to the raft and a foot trigger. I'm actually stomping on the foot trigger to make the camera fire. That whole ridiculous setup cost thousands, the underwater housing, and now the $100 GoPro could do this shot and better. But at the time I thought it was quite something. And
it's all about timing, right?
Yeah, I was about 5 years before the GoPros at that point. But I love wilderness travel, like the rafts here. I love, as you'll see, I have a real passion for twilight night photography. I was trained, when I went to photography school, I was trained in a darkroom. So I love black and white photography. And in fact, these days I shoot a lot with a black and white infrared converted camera. That's one of my other, this is a black and white infrared. But I love high color, beautiful landscapes as well. Stuff like this, bottom of the Grand Canyon. I love moonlight. I love starlight. Stars are my current passion. Both the pinpoint stars and the swirling arcs of the stars. And anyway, I'll pause there. But let me stop the screen share for just a second. But that's sort of what I did, or what I've done, and where I am now is teaching field workshops, teaching night photography, teaching processing.
Very beautiful. Nice work.
Thank you.
Excellent. So, so can you recall one of your favorite projects ever?
Yeah. But so along the lines of that Grand Canyon trip, one of the things I've gotten fascinated with is time lapse, along with the stars and night. And so I don't think I can actually show it very well, but I have, over the past year or two, been working really hard at creating time-lapse videos. And I'll see if this will play. There may be a little music. Let me just sort of, it does play in the video.
Yep.
Way cool. So along with that Grand Canyon trip, I set my camera up sometimes for hours and just let it shoot clouds and stars and the river passing by, to make these 2 to 3 minute long time-lapse movies that basically encapsulate a whole month of my life. Let's see, we'll let it get to some stars here. So some of those still photos I showed earlier are really part of a much larger, longer sequence of photos where I love the way that time passes, and especially at night. The human eye, we know that the stars are in motion, but their motion is so subtle we don't pick up on it. You go outside, you see a constellation, you go back inside an hour later, you know the constellation's moved, but it moves so slowly we don't see it, but the camera does. If you just let it shoot frame after frame. Here, I'll pause here.
Yeah.
So this Grand Canyon time lapse, or I have another one I'll show a little later, perhaps a little excerpt from. They're my current biggest creative projects.
Yeah, beautiful. The clouds going by in the beginning remind me of that. Do you remember Rumblefish movie?
Mm-hmm.
There was a Francis Ford Coppola movie.
These days, the intro to House of Cards. I forgot which TV network's on. That's all done in time lapse.
Yeah, that's nice. Great.
What network's that on? Anyway.
Okay, excellent. So, and what future projects would you like to work on, or are you working on?
Well, so here I guess I turn to sort of shameless self-promotion. Apologies. For so long, I've been teaching in the field and in the physical classroom, and it's been a blessing. I absolutely love it, and I love that personal connection, the students and I out there photographing a sunrise, or interacting with folks day after day. But with the internet and the explosion of online learning, I feel like I've spent so long sort of face-to-face and have done so little to share that knowledge online to help others along. So right now, my big project is sort of twofold. I'm really trying this year, last year, to expand what I have to offer folks online. So at my own website, davidmarx.com, but the part I'm really proud of here is the Photoshop, Lightroom tutorials, and now some of the Nix software and some other software. I've really been working hard to make tutorials, articles, and particularly videos for folks to watch, for folks to learn from. At this point, I have about 50, each video is about 20 minutes long. I have about 50 video tutorials. So like I showed that, that time-lapse clip a minute ago, I'm really proud that now I have a video tutorial to offer on how to make time-lapse using Lightroom in Photoshop, using Lightroom in QuickTime Pro, etc. So this expanding my tutorials and my online offering has been the current project. Now, again, I warned you, shameless self-promotion. I don't think that I have all the answers by any means. And I have my own sort of specialty, Lightroom, night photography, they're what I do. So I've really, I'm delighted to have a wonderful partner on some of this, my friend Mark Johnson, who I know you know.
Yeah, friends as well.
Yeah, Mark is awesome. And Mark and I, we've been friends, personally, we've been friends for 15 years, I think, 12 years. But as an artist, he does stuff that is so completely different than what I do. He's a composite artist. He loves making completely different art. And he's this Photoshop genius. So where my specialty is sort of Lightroom and I would say more traditional landscape travel photography, Mark is this wonderful creative. So it's a pleasure that my videos are also at his website.
Nice.
And the bonus there is I can link to his stuff where I can say, want to learn more about this Photoshop button? Mark's got a slew of videos on it. So he's one place that I've been working on putting stuff at my own website. I've been working at putting stuff at Mark's. And then I've been working, like your guest, Ron Clifford, a few weeks ago here through this Arcanum, which is this amazing collection, both of video tutorials, that's what they call their grand library, and an actual classroom experience. It's an online classroom. It's a interactive online community. But like Ron, I have a group of students. The Arcanum calls them apprentices. I have a group of students where I give assignments. They do the work, upload the photos, and we do one-on-one personal critiques like you and I are doing through Google Hangouts. We do challenges. We do I can share links, videos, all sorts of training for folks who, my classroom, I have folks over in Europe. I have folks all throughout the United States. But we get together online and we talk, we share. It's pretty wonderful. Nice. So I've really been working on expanding my online presence. Here, let me stop the screen share again. There we go.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, interesting that, 3 different interviews I've had with 3 different people in the Arcanum.
Well, I have to say it's thanks to Ron and Jan Kabili that I'm here at all. Jan, I've known Ron and Jan professionally for a while, and when the Arcanum was looking for more folks to teach, Jan called me and said, "Hey, do you want in?" So I really do have to thank those who've paved the path for me.
Nice.
To get here.
I'm going to have to ask Trey Radcliffe to do a video interview as well. He did a blog text interview, so
yeah,
that'd be nice.
Yeah, so, I think that and I should add a lot of competitors. There are obviously other companies, lynda.com, there's some big news about them this week, Creative Live. I think that there's really this surge right now of online photographic mentorship. And the Arcanum is just one of those platforms for, call it distance learning.
Right.
The idea that photography can only be taught face-to-face, side-by-side. I still believe in that, and I love teaching field workshops, but I don't think that's the only option anymore.
Well, I was kind of surprised that Google Plus stopped the help outs feature. Mm-hmm. I did a few myself for people for Photoshop and Lightroom, and I thought it was a solid platform, so it was kind of strange to all of a sudden get a notification that it was going to go away. But something else will appear for sure, take its place. So where can people find you? Where would you like to show people?
Well, let's see. Let me, I guess, go back to screen sharing. Three places you can find me. Obviously, my own website, davidmarx.com.
Right.
You can find me at Google+. You can find me at Twitter, Vimeo, YouTube, all the usual social networks. But more fun would be to find me in person. So I will be one of the speakers at the Grandfather Mountain photography weekend coming up in May. There's a registration button on their website at grandfather.com. I'm just one of the guests, one of the speakers there, one of the presenters. And then I have a field workshop coming up this fall at the beautiful Spruce Point Inn on the coast of Maine. And this will be all me. It's about a 4-day class. And maybe I'll show a couple more photos from this one if we have the time.
Yep.
Well, here, let me switch screens then. And let me just jump ahead.
Very beautiful.
Oh, thanks. Well, here, since I'm jumping ahead, I'll fly through a couple of these real quick. Like I said, I teach photography workshops. That's really teaching both online and in the classroom is really what I love to do. Let me just fly through some of these real quick. So I've been really blessed living here in Montana. This is Glacier. I was out here just the other night. I'm a little groggy today because the aurora has been appearing here in Montana. And so I was out in Glacier photographing, hoping for some aurora. But I've been teaching in Yellowstone since we're on the Montana tangent. I'll fly through some Yellowstone images.
Beautiful.
More infrared. More infrared. Love geysers. Montana we're blessed with some beautiful, beautiful outdoor areas. Old Faithful, like I said, I have a thing right now for stars, and I've been really wanting an Old Faithful under the moonlight shot. Finally have it, and I really have this passion now for auroras. So I've been teaching a Yellowstone in the winter workshop, and then these are from a aurora photography class that I've been teaching up at the edge of the Arctic the past couple years.
Wow.
For us in Montana, the aurora will be a kind of faint green glow at the horizon. When you get up to 60, 65 degrees north, when you get way north, the aurora begins to move completely overhead with a lot more regularity. So these are from some of my aurora trips. And you know, I'm delighted to show my photos, but what I'm more delighted to say is that my students who are here, we all stay in the science center, that my students came home with photos as good or better than these. That, you know, my job up there is to keep people warm, to help them with their camera. A lot of times these are from that time lapse where I just set my camera up and aim it at the sky and hope it worked. And some nights I'm aimed at the wrong side of the sky. And some nights I get lucky and the aurora moves in. My students get great stuff. Anyway, coming up this fall, coast of Maine, I get to teach at this beautiful resort called the Spruce Point Inn, and we'll go out to, it's a coastal Maine workshop. So we go to lighthouses, we go to lighthouses, we go out to marshes and the coastal Maine botanical gardens, which is beautiful. We eat well, lots of lobster, lots of seafood. We go float around from island to island. The coast of Maine is just a gorgeous, gorgeous photographer's paradise. Beautiful sunrises. This is the little town of Booth Bay Harbor back here. The resort is actually on the far right side of your screen. Right. And we get gorgeous sunsets. I love the twilight hours. The lighthouses and twilight just fit so beautifully together. You know, like that little red light there, the warning light on the lighthouse. I think the twilight time of day just works so well for this kind of photo. Yeah, sunsets. Thank you, thank you. So that one, you can find out more about it here at my davidmarx.com. Nice. There we go. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Very, very beautiful photos. Makes me want to travel more. So.
Well, I eliminated all of my Coast of California stuff because I figured it wouldn't keep up with yours and with your other guests.
All right, well, thank you so much for spending time with us today and sharing your world and wonderful photos. So I'll be posting this everywhere, and thank you.
It's my pleasure, and I really appreciate the opportunity to share what I do. And like Ron Clifford, I have to say, I think so much of the fun of photography is in interacting with others, in the way that the camera can create connections. Both, you know, I photograph a lot of rocks and trees. A connection with the landscape for me is personally meaningful, but what I really love is connecting with other people online, in person, because photography and art in general is, it's more fun when we share. And it's not meant to be just one person alone. That interaction is so important.
Absolutely. Hi, again, thanks so much, and have a wonderful weekend.
My pleasure. Thanks.
Take care.